I have been anticipating Spider-Man 2 for quite some time. This was probably a high nominee for my game of the year when it was first announced. I was like, yo, I gotta check this out because I was a big fan of both Miles Morales and the original Spider-Man game that came out a few years back. But I gotta tell you guys, as far as innovation goes with the Spider-Man games, yeah, they're great. They're fun. They're a huge, vibrant New York world that is alive and full of all sorts of people walking on the streets. You got taxis, you got cars, and the city feels alive. Like, if you're looking for a exact representation of the whole New York City area, go no further than the Spider-Man games. You dream it, you can go to it and explore, and it's so awesome. But then you realize quickly that the gameplay loop for Spider-Man 2 is just like the last two games, to the point where it almost doesn't even feel like it's a brand new game at all, outside of fidelity mode and the new, I guess, additions graphically that you have to the game that the PS5 uses with, I guess, better ray tracing and better lighting and things of that nature. There's a little bit more attention to detail with the amount of NPCs that are walking the street, but honestly, the core gameplay mechanics, it's untouched for the most part. The game also feels a lot shorter. I don't know if it's just me, but I felt like I had a much more longer time playing the original Spider-Man game than this one. This one almost feels like another DLC, just like Miles Morales felt, where it felt like it was an extension of the OG game, the OG engine, the OG gameplay loop, where you're in this open world. Once in a while, you'll find a crime that's being reported, or there'll be random things that you can do, like these EMF missions, or taking down these unidentified flying bird things that come through the stages. There's hunter levels, there's spider bots to find. You go from point A to point B doing these weird side quests that are basically fetch quests, or after a while it gets kind of repetitive. The crimes, it really felt like there was less than 10 different varieties of crimes that you can do in the whole gameplay mechanics, and after a while I just had no incentive to keep doing these crimes other than to unlock the fast travel points that you get once you get enough experience in a certain level. Yeah, if you're a collector or you want 100% in the game, you're gonna have to do all these little missions and stuff. But honestly, I personally didn't feel any incentive to go and do all the extra side stuff because I didn't feel that there was enough added innovation. Now, don't get me wrong. If it ain't broken, don't fix it. This game, if you enjoyed Miles Morales and Spider-Man, you're going to enjoy Spider-Man 2, no doubt about it, because combat is solid, as ever. Even though they didn't change it, the combat's always been solid. The puzzle solving and all that, the story, it really feels like it's a good little recipe. That I guess my biggest complaint is that I feel they should have added on to it, and they didn't. It's been a few years since the OG Spider-Man came out. I was hoping for a little bit more of a variety. Now, you are limited to being in New York City, and yeah, it's for the most part the same exact map that we saw on the last two games. So what more can you have on it other than brand new points of interest like the EMF building and certain Marvel Universe types of references and stuff? But as far as the story goes, it's not half bad. It does feel like it's a pretty short campaign, though, but there is enough here to be somewhat entertained. Lots of callbacks, a little bit in wave swerves and stuff. Now, the big appeal of this is you have both Spider-Man and Miles Morales as playable characters. You can switch between the two, and each one has their own exclusive, I guess, series of side quests and missions. To be honest, it doesn't feel like you play with them together enough. I've noticed that there's points in the story where I'm like, dude, what the fuck is Miles Morales doing right now while Spider-Man's taking on this fucking big-ass fucking boss and the world is getting destroyed and skyscrapers and stuff are getting demolished? Where's Miles? Like, often at times it feels like one or the other is just not there when they could have capitalized on that. I would have liked to have seen a co-op mode also thrown in here, even if it was somehow figured out through online or something like that. Anything that could have added on to this recipe, right? You can only have a stuffed crust pepperoni pizza so much. Eventually you want to have a second topping or some added stuff on top of it, and I feel that they would have benefited from making the game have a little bit more extra stuff on top of it. I feel that this was too much like what we've already had. And I know this is a problem in a lot of open world games like the Assassin's Creed series and things like that. I've seen people complain that, yeah, this is really no innovation, that the NPCs and the AI in the game feel dumb. Other than that, it has a pretty nice little makeover because this is a PS5 exclusive game. So this is technically one of the few times that we've seen a next-gen only video game made for the PS5. I just feel they didn't do enough. I would have liked to seen a little bit more. Even the skill tree feels kind of small. Even though they have a Miles skill tree, a Peter Parker skill tree, and a skill tree that both Spider-Man share, I was breezing through the levels in here. Like, I went up to, like, level 40, like, in less than a weekend just playing the game. Which, yeah, again, there's a lot of stuff to do. But after a while, you'll get tired of doing the same crime. You know, you see the little red light come out, it says crime reported. And you can only do so many of the same little mundane crime missions once you get past, like, all the other collectathon stuff, like finding the spider bots and all the other stuff on the map. A lot of it honestly feels like it's hide and seek or collectathon, fetch quest type of stuff outside the main campaign. I would have liked a little bit longer of a narrative also. I don't know. In no way or form is this game that bad. I just feel like I was let down a little bit in regards to how much more it really innovated. Because to me, it doesn't feel like they innovated enough to justify this being a full-fledged sequel. Like, what, 5 years later? After the OG was made? Sony, you know, I think they like to play it safe sometimes, to be completely honest, with a lot of their games. And while there is nothing wrong with that, it still is a pretty impressive and fun game. So if you really enjoyed the first two games, you might like this. But if you wanted something a little bit more new or whatever, just kind of hold your expectations in check. Game by no means is bad, but in my all humble opinion, this is not a game of the year at all. This will not win game of the year in my opinion. Is it a candidate? Sure. Will it win some game of the year awards? Yes. But as far as a actual full-fledged AAA game that feels like it's a game of the year with all sorts of like amazing qualities about it, in my most humble opinion, this is not a game of the year because it feels too lacking in what I was expecting for a sequel for such an amazing game. They played it too safe, in my opinion. And yeah, that's where I lay with Spider-Man 2. Still a fun game. I enjoyed it. It's worth checking out if you enjoyed the other two, honestly. If not, maybe wait for a price drop. Do whatever the fuck you want. I'm just giving my opinion. I love open world games. I love stuff that feels free, which, you know, exploring New York City feels awesome. But often at times, there's not enough. I would have liked the ability to enter buildings. Like, basically, enter some buildings. It would be nice if you had the option to enter stores, restaurants, bars, clubs, apartment buildings, and actually have, like, interior exploration on certain stuff, not just in missions. I would have liked the ability to get inside of vehicles and stuff like that. It just didn't seem like there wasn't enough of that. And I know, hey, it's a superhero game. You're supposed to just swing around and stuff. But again, the missions just didn't feel like they had enough juice there, in my opinion. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for watching.